Hello everyone and welcome back to some more Batman Miniature Game 3rd edition for the channel, and today 350 rep of a Batman-less Batman crew is going up against 350 rep of the Joker, and the theme across both sides this time around is murder, 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 making use of that new vengeance rule for one side and the other side wanting to score psychopath cards essentially. So let's go take a look at the particulars. So there's 7 miniatures in the Batman-less Batman crew this time around, and nothing has been bought in funding because everything is taken up by the various guns we've got present. So the leader is going to be the new Red Hood. This is Red Hood Outlaw, I believe it's called. He can do a bunch of stuff for free actions. He's a handyman, so he gets a free manipulate every turn. He has instinctive shooting, which has been slightly changed now. The wording is a little garbled, but the rule in general is a lot better. He gives up his special action for a little move plus a free attack at range, essentially. Very nice. And he has the vengeance rule, so any dirty job cards are worth 2 victory points instead of 1. Aaron Cash is also here. They're both psychics, by the way, but Red Hood is going to be the leader. Aaron Cash is back here again with QRT-1, I think that is, with his riot shotgun. We've got the GCPD detective. We've got Harvey Bullock. We've got the mounted GCPD cop. And then as a free agent we also have Peacemaker, so a lot of guns. In fact, I think the only one without a gun is the mounted unit on the horse. Everyone else has a gun of some variety, if it's like blood stun, or double blood. So very killy list who are going to be focused on murdering some clowns that I guess we should go take a look at now. So there's 9 models in the Joker crew, and not confusing at all, it's being led by Red Hood Joker. This is the Red Hood gang version of Joker, not to be confused with Red Hood the Vigilante, Jason Todd. But I thought it'd be fun for it to be that version going up against. There's only one thing bought for funding because this crew also has a ton of stuff taken up by guns. Borgin the Cursed has Joker gas at the back there, that's the only difference. There is Paramilitary 2, there's Rasta Clown with his very dangerous gun. There's 3 of the Street Jesters, the one with the grenade launcher is staying at home. I think that's 1, 2, 4 specifically. Punchline is here as a sidekick, and the generic Thug 6 from the Back to Gotham box is just here as usual to be a bodyguard for Joker essentially. And I think that about covers it, yeah, because there's no other funding. So they've definitely got the numbers advantage. Once again, there's their Audacity markers for a start. The other side is in red and black. They'll be shown on the video or placed next to models just to show intent, but because Joker has Chaos Agent, they can be subject to change. And we are all set up and good to go. The Joker crew is to your left and the Batman-less Batman crew is to your right, who will be going first. There's some out of deployment placement, 1 undercover for Joker, 2 with hidden for the Batman crew. However, we'll go over the objective cards being played in Phase 1 or Phase 2 of Turn 1 first. There's a Phase 2 by the Joker crew. It is Psychopaths, so we'll be tracking who dies on each side, and I'm sure the death rate in this match is going to be real high. So these cards have a much better chance of scoring going up against how many suspect markers are placed within a turn. So that is in play. We can take a quick look where both sides are. So the QRT-1 is down there in the corner. Jason, Peacemaker, whose name I've forgotten, and Aaron Cash are in a line there together, all with Audacity. Bullock deployed a bit further forwards, with thanks to his hidden just right there. The mounted JCPD cop is next to the Batmobile there, and the detective has used hidden to deploy over there, and he has their 4th Audacity marker. For the Joker crew, the paramilitary deployed just out of deployment, not by much, up on the building, outside of range 4 of that light, specifically with Audacity, but again, subject to change for his henchman because of Trickster via Chaos Agent. Rasta Clown has Audacity, Joker himself does, and so does Punchline, and they're basically just in a big line hoping to get to the cop line before too many of them get shot. So with that, we are ready to jump in and see how this plays out. So despite having 2 passes, the Batman crew did activate the activated QRT-1 down here on the corner. No Audacity, he did not move or anything else, he activated and unactivated, but during his turn put wait for backup into play on himself, picking this table edge, rolled a 1, so you add 1 to that. It's going to tick down at the end of every subsequent activation, and when it hits 0, and it's not going to get stopped because he's hiding out of line of sight here, it'll score for 2. Bold to get rid of that instantly, because it can be used to resurrect a generic cop if they die, opting instead just to go for the score straight away. The first activation for the Joker crew was Street Jester 2, that's the one, the wannabe ninja, the one with the actually pretty scary dual katanas. And he didn't have Audacity, he did not take Audacity, he started next to Joker though, so after moving up he used that Inspired Manipulate to put down a suspect in front of the car there, using that car even though he's quite tall for cover. The Batman crew opted to use one of their 2 passes available, so Joker's crew activated the paramilitary up on the roof here, and they may, well, one person did not live to regret the decision just made there by passing. Paramilitary moved to the corner of the building there. His gun, Double Blood, has Assault and Red Dot for just -1 instead of losing dice and a reroll. And he shot at poor Harvey because he actually had perfect eyes on from the corner down there. He wasn't close enough. He should have deployed in the alley, really, in hindsight. But too late for that now. 3 hits got through for 2 blood each, meaning 6 blood. Meaning that poor Harvey actually just got 1 shot and removed from the table. Now, regardless of that happening, no other cards scored except ticking up Psychopaths by 1 in Joker's favour. But at the completion of that activation, Wait for Backup does score. It would not have brought Harvey back, I think, because it has to have a name unknown. Yeah, so it's not like that would have saved him. The Batman crew opted to use their second pass, so Joker activated Thug 6, who was next to the man himself there, didn't take Audacity, moved over here and did put down a suspect marker, which has become a Stinky Fish. However, the reason he was able to place that is because when he activated, Seasoning the Mix was played as a resource. At the start of a model's activation, move up to 2 friendly suspect markers 4 inches. Obviously, only 1 was picked, because there was only 1, so it got moved enough away that this could be placed there, and that is the Stinky Fish in play with It Doesn't Look Fresh for the turn. The JCPD detective activated and actually retreated from his forward deployment position in order to safely put down a suspect marker that has become the first snitch of the game to kind of counter that fish going down, I guess. Measured it out, and Punchline is the fastest over that end of the board, and she will not be able to get within 4 of it, so this is a guaranteed score. Street Jester number 1, I believe, the one with the striped pants, is bouncing around holding fireworks and a flaming torch, because that's safe. Activated, he moved up without Audacity, right next to the car here, and then, kind of regardless of his actual activation, he played on a gamble, let them do their thing, picked the suspect marker in front of him, wanting to move it over to where Peacemaker, Red Hood and Iron Cash were, because there was potential there to do a lot of damage. Rolled 2d6 on this suspect marker, which exploded. It only moved 5 inches and exploded there, meaning it did no damage, so it will not score. Iron Cash activated, moved up to where Bullock's bloodied corpse is, I guess. He wanted to take a shot up at the paramilitary up there, but after moving, even though his gun has assault, he'd be losing 1 to Bulletproof Vest and then the other to cover, so can't really do that. So instead he just put down a suspect marker in order to make that be countering Psychopaths unless anyone else dies. So before we cover the next activation, just really quick, want to mention it on camera, but as part of the Vengeance rule, Red Hood has to select someone, ideally not a henchman, on the Joker's crew who he will do blood damage to rather than stun in close combat. He is of course picking the Joker because of all the various reasons he has to hate the Joker, so just getting that on camera because I didn't mention it at the top of the video. Anyway, the other Street Jester activated without Audacity, but within 8 of Joker he moved up and has plopped down a suspect marker in the middle of the street. The mounted GCPD officer activated without Audacity and not close enough to Red Hood for an Inspire. He had movement to spare with 14 base and just opted to hide behind the car there since Punchline hasn't activated yet. It kind of looks like the card's about to hit him, that's horrifying. Borgin the Cursed activated for Joker's crew and just wandered up his 8 inches. He is a mindless monster in the newer version of his rules, which are much better than his old rules from 2nd edition. Means that if he does finish a move closer to the closest threat when he activates, he gets a free attack, but not within range to attack Cash this time. He is also desensitized, which means his low willpower relative to his endurance means that even if he gets that willpower taken away, he won't just get knocked out super easy. So sending him forwards, despite the fact Peacemaker and Red Hood haven't activated yet, and can obviously very comfortably just move up and shoot him, should mean he tanks the damage, but I guess we'll see. So the new Red Hood activated, so it's time to cover what he can do. His base movement is 12, so he's fast. That's to make up for the fact that he doesn't have a grapple gun, for some reason. Well, I guess because the special actions are better used elsewhere. So he moved up to where you can see him right there, which put him within 8 inches of the Joker paramilitary thug up there. That's important because he's got Sure, so if he's within 8 he ignores cover. He also has 2 rounds of anti-tank rounds which ignore bulletproof vests. So he opted to fire a round of those, meaning that he was ignoring the cover that they were getting from the banister there, ignoring his bulletproof vest. He's still losing 2 dice for moving and shooting though, so he was rolling 2 dice, just needing 3s, he got them both, and rather than doing 2 blood, 2 stun, it became 4 stun, thanks to scoring in non-lethal ammo. However, he wasn't done. Then for a special action, because he had Dassy, he made use of instinctive shooting. You're allowed to move up to 4 inches, and then it says you get an extra ranged attack that doesn't have the penalty for moving and shooting. However, it's a little unclear as to whether or not you apply the penalty if you've moved previously in the turn already, or if it only doesn't apply if that's the first thing you do in a turn. We did it that if you've moved prior to using instinctive shooting, it counts as you having moved in the turn, which is probably the way it's intended, because otherwise it seems way too good. But that might be wrong. So he opted not to move the 4 inches, he just wanted to shoot the other load of anti-tank rounds. One of the 2 hits got through that time for 1 blood, 1 stun. The important part is, thanks to that first round of shooting getting turned into just stun damage, he's a 5/5 mini, so he is now knocked out. So much less of a threat stuck up there, which is just as well, because as I say, he doesn't have a grapple gun, so he can't really just go up there and hit him. As far as other things he could have done, because he moved over there to deal with that threat, he couldn't use his handyman, but he could have done a handyman action to put down a suspect marker had there not already been one right there. Well, the Joker finally activated for his crew, and he was a little bit dangerous, although I imagine he enjoys the risk. He moved up very close to Red Hood. In fact, he had to make sure he was within 4, or rather, the suspect marker he put down had to be within 4 in order to meet the criteria to score Let Them In on the joke, which also just has kind of like an extra layer on top of it that he did that to Jason. So one friendly model with the Trickster's trait places the suspect marker within 4 of an enemy model. When this happens, both players discard a card from their hand. Done, and scored for 2. Because it's so close to the end of the round and everyone around him already activated, there was nothing really he could do with his like demotivate, etc. So he's setting up for next turn. Last activation for the Batman-less Batman crew in turn 1 was Peacemaker, who used Rapid Fire as a special action to get +1 die. Then he moved though, which took away 2, although his gun is fairly unique in the fact that it has Devastating and High Caliber, so you're rolling 2 strength dice, and High Caliber means as long as you're shooting at someone within optimal range, you lose the basic dice first rather than the hitting on 2 plus his strength dice. Although, because his target was Borgin the Cursed, his defense 2 anyway, I guess that latter part doesn't matter too much. Either way though, he unloaded into him with his ammo and managed to do maximum damage because he didn't roll any 1s, and did 6 of the 10 endurance that Borgin has. So he is very killable next turn. Now it's over to who his Joker got left. Thanks to those passes, he's got a couple I think. Yep, he's got Rastaclan with the very dangerous gun, and also Punchline. So of those 2, it was Rastaclan who activated first, who is very much a 2nd edition relic that for some reason has not been changed or made into an Eternal model, because he's got a rate of fire 3 triple blood accurate gun, which just seems a smidge OP for the way Joker's crews are supposed to be, at least to me. But either way, he moved up, which means he was losing 2 dice for moving and shooting, but he shot at Peacemaker. Doesn't have any kind of defense really, so it's just against his defense of 4. And he managed to do 2 hits through of the 2 dice he was rolling. So 6 blood to Peacemaker. He is pretty tanky, he has 8 endurance, so he's got 2 left. And Punchline was the last activation for the entire round, having to show you where she ended up rather than where she started, because it's just awkward to get an angle between the 2 buildings here. But she ran 12 inches up and put that suspect marker down. She didn't go her full movement because she had to make sure she was outside of 4 of that from where the suspect marker is. It is, but as the crow flies, still within 4 of Red Hood there, in order to score a second Let Them In on the joke. So that is the actual second card scored for Joker's crew, because the others are still just in play, but we'll cover that in a second in the end of the round recap. So then about round 1, it is not looking super great for the Batman-less Batman crew, especially because the paramilitary with a roll of a 2 and a 1 has woken up on that building there, so you can just get up and start shooting again next turn. Everyone else who was conscious is healing 1 stun. And of the cards in play, Psychopath does not score. 1 character was killed, Bullock, 1 character was knocked out, but 3 suspect markers were put down, so that did not score. The Stinky Fish though, for It Doesn't Look Fresh, does score, so that scored for 2. It was unmolested down there. And the Snitch was also left alone for the Batman-less Batman crew, so that scored for 3. I think that covers everything. We'll go into the top of turn 2. At the top of Battle Round 2, a lot of things are going Joker's way. In fact, the only thing that didn't really is that the Batman-less Batman crew managed to take first activation, and that's just as well, because if they didn't, I feel like Peacemaker would not be getting a turn. So, the thing I'm referring to is that they've got the Wombo combo of Phase 1 and Phase 2 objective cards that just synergize so well together to make this turn a problem for a crew that's already suffering losses. So, Phase 1 wise, they have Let's Dance, so that just means that if Joker or Punchline take damage, that will score for 2. But they also have Showtime, which is Joker's unique card. You can read the text if you like. There was only 1 suspect marker within range and he rolled a 3, so it became a 5. So that will be counting down, it got pulled over from there. counting down, and if he's still touching it when it hits 0, which makes him a big target for the turn, it will score for 3. And then in phase 2, these put another Psycho-Pass into play. So even if they start losing people to the violent murder, it still might work out. Incidentally, I think I miscounted and there was only 2 suspect markers down for the Batman crew in turn 1, but that still meant it was a draw, so I didn't score. Oh, and of course it would help to show who had Audacity. The gentleman with the swords has Audacity, Joker has, Punchline does, and the guy who has to stand up on the roof does, the paramilitary for Joker's crew. For the Batman crew, Peacemaker, Red Hood, the JCP detective, and the mounted JCPD cop all have Audacity, and QRT 1 or 2, whoever, is still just stuck down there. He'll be joining the fight this turn, I imagine. So of course Peacemaker had to go first because his days are probably numbered. So he used the second load of ammunition to just absolutely blow Borgin the Cursed off the table with 8 more damage on top of what he did before. That's the benefit of not having to move before firing. So Borgin the Cursed very much dead. That's 1 tick on Psycho-Pass, but they are scoring a dirty job, and thanks to Red Hood, even if he was dead and off the table, the rule specifies it still kicks in. This is actually worth 2. He then retreated behind the big car here. He would get cover from being shot from up there. Rasta Clown would have to move to even see him. This version of Joker doesn't have a gun, so that's his best shot. Punchline activated first for Joker's crew in Battle Round 2 and got the optimal result she was looking for. She dashed down, hopped over the car there, and chucked some throwing knives into Peacemaker. Now, if she'd got maximum damage, he would have died, which would have made it a little bit spotty as to whether or not he would have counted as poisoned before dying. Presumably, yes. But either way, only 1 got through, so thankfully that's not an argument that needs to be had right now. 1 blood damage, putting him on 1 health remaining, and also poisoning him, which makes him susceptible to scoring some cards off of that. Bit out of left field, but the mounted JCPD cop activated, dashed around the corner. Now he is always on the move, but if he wants to use a special action, he has to stay put, because always on the move just says you can do an attack action. So he paused where he was, he efforted twice with his double stun baton against the Street Jester 4, Street Jester 4, and just walloped him good. He's only defense 2. So he got him for 8, very much knocking him out. However, he is then using a special action to arrest him just to remove the threat. And even if he did only just knock him out, that would score a second dirty job, which is also worth 2. Now, because he got knocked out first and then he got removed as a casualty via arrest, that is presumably 2 ticks on Psycho-Pass. Still doing it though, because I think that Psycho-Pass card is going to score regardless this turn, so might as well just embrace the murder. Joker's paramilitary up on the roof here stood up, which means he's suffering impaired movement, it counts as him moving, and then did a shoot action, so he was losing 2 dice because he did count as moving. He lost another die because he was shooting at Peacemaker in cover, and that means he was rolling 1 die with a reroll for the red dot, needing a 4+ on one of them. He got it, but Peacemaker has Survivor, which means on a 5 or a 6, the rest of what I was about to say does not play out, so let's see. It was a 3. Peacemaker is out of there, putting in the 4th mark on Psycho-Pass for the turn, and scoring a Seasoning the Mix because he died while poisoned. So Aaron Cash activated without Audacity next. However, I think I was misremembering a rule. I thought if someone was hit by anti-tank, or a weapon with anti-tank, it removed their bulletproof vest entirely, not just for the shot. I think that's wrong. I couldn't find. I had a quick look. We've played it an action out for Aaron as if it worked. It was set up. He wasn't given Audacity specifically for this purpose, so we're just going to play it like that now. But I don't think it's right. I can't find any reference to it. I could have. Maybe I'm thinking of acid or caustic. Maybe one of those two. One of them just means you do damage if you miss. But the reason I totally forgot he still had his bulletproof vest rule, but I thought anti-tank removed it, so he would lose 1 die to cover, and he gets 2 in total. And he could roll the other die with a 50-50 chance of hitting the paratrooper up there, or the paramilitary up there, and roll the die he did, and it would already just knock him out as is, but was also going to score a non-lethal ammo for converting it from 1 blood 2 stun to just 3 stun. So we're going to play it as is. I don't think it's right though, but we'll just say that was Aaron Cash's activation. He's knocked out the paratrooper. If there's 2 points in it at the end of the game, we'll count it as a draw. With the completion of Cash's activation, Showtime ticks down and has now scored as well. So that's scored for a massive 3 for the Joker crew. Thug 6 activated for Joker's crew, moving up and not doing anything else except revealing the suspect marker there with the inspired manipulate he got from being within Joker's inspired radius when he activated. Scoring, the second scoring criteria for so long it's been a gas, and he has to pick a friendly model to put assessment marker down and suffer enervating 2 as a result. And it doesn't say they have to be conscious, so him up there. Well, as the number of models on the table decreases, Red Hood activated and resisted the temptation to go after the Joker, had more important things to do. First of all, played Confusion as a resource. During a friendly model's activation, you can move another friendly model up to 3 inches. QRT, to get him into the fight a bit better, came forwards 3 inches because he's only got movement 8. During his actual turn, he shot down here 12 inches and then shot into Rasta Clown, doing 3 blood, 3 stun. Then, as a special action, used Instinctive Shooting, moved so he was adjacent to the Stinky Fish that was there. Fired another load of rounds, again just rolling as if he'd been moved, even though it says not to, because the way it's worded is a bit vague. Either way, Rasta Clown is a 4/4 mini, so he only needed to hit one more time and managed to take him out. Didn't score a card on that, but did score for then using Handyman to manipulate to remove the Stinky Fish and score a comb through everything, but in the process also gets poisoned. Street Jester 1 activated, did not take Audacity, just kind of turned him around for dramatic effect to look at, well, what just happened over there and was like, OMG, it's Red Hood. He put down the assessment marker as his only action and it became Explosive Teeth, rolled a 5 for it though, so they'll be moving at the end of every activation for the next 5 times before exploding. There is the Mountain of Text. I feel like that, I think it did get cleaned up a little bit. This is the original version of the card, but could probably get summed up a bit more succinctly. QRT1 activated for a simple activation, just moving his 8 inches over here, and then the Explosive Teeth moved towards him by 5, I believe it was. Street Jester 2 activated and decided to engage with the Red Hood Outlaw, using those heavy, overwhelming katanas for -1 to defense rolls. And he tried as a special action to do Feint. It means you take a willpower roll. If you pass, the target can't use efforts. He failed the willpower roll though. Would have been a fantastic hit roll. Either way though, Red Hood efforted twice. He efforted 3 times, so he was getting 1 extra die on top, all said and done. 2 hits got through, but this is where we can cover Red Hood's armor. It's kind of like his version of bad armor. It doesn't remove strength dice. What it does is reduces damage taken by 1. So he actually took 3 blood, not 4. And as a secondary thing, he can opt to expend an effort if he's attacked in close combat to deal 2 stun back to whoever attacked him. So he's going to do that. So there's actually 3 stun damage here in total. But that means that he's actually knocked out the Street Jester there. So in an effort to, well, he did some blood damage, he's actually just gone and knocked himself out like that. The Explosive Teeth moved 1 inch towards the now unconscious Street Jester 2, and then they moved 2 inches towards who just activated, all the way over this other end of the table. The JCPD detective is just kind of minding his own business there. He walked further down the table and popped down another suspect marker. He's got a gun, he's just kind of pointing and listening to the murder that's happening over here on both sides. He and the mounted cop, they're just minding their own business really. So I believe the Joker is the last one to activate thanks to various knockouts and kills and such. So he went after Aaron Cash. They both opted to effort once because they're about to heal that damage back anyway. Joker attacking with a single blood poison sharp, I think, knife. And Aaron Cash just aced his defense roll, just like a boss. He just saw that clown coming. So Joker got no hits through for 0 damage dealt, and then the Explosive Teeth moved 2 towards him. So whoever activates first in battle round 3 is going to get those teeth to move towards them, and then wherever they are, they're going to explode. So with the numbers on both sides rapidly dwindling at the end of battle round 2, neither of the knocked out henchmen woke up this turn, and Red Hood did pass his poison check. And everyone has healed 1 stun that has stun damage. Of the cards in play for Joker's crew, Let's Dance does not score because Punchline and Joker got ignored, so that's just discarded. Psychopath scores, stop counting after 5 or 6, I think it was at 7. Either way, more than physically possible to have suspect markers put down to counter, so it's scored for 3. However, a phase 4 is being scored by the Batman-less Batman crew. They're scoring a Secure the Perimeter, the suspect marker of a JCPD detective put down, and the Former Snitch are both being removed in order to score that. And I think that covers everything, so into the second last round. Top of the penultimate round, battle round 3, all 4 surviving and conscious Joker, Joker plus henchmen have Audacity. For the Batman-less Batman crew, Aaron Cash does, Red Hood does, QRT down here does, and so does the mounted JCPD cop. They can just about make out between the buildings there. 1 card being played, it is the third and final, actually no, one of them got unscored, didn't it? Well, either way, a Psychopath's card is back in play for Joker's crews to potentially earn another 3 points on. No cards for the Batman crew, but amazingly, the second 6 in a row for taking first activation, I believe. They are going first again for 3 of 3 rounds. Lots of new damage markers on the table. Red Hood activated to get the round started. Immediately shot into the Street Jester with the explosives. Did 3 hits for 3 blood, 3 stun, and that was enough to score Catch a Bullet just for a quick 1-pointer. But then he used Instinctive Shooting, and this time he hadn't moved. So he moved 4 and then counted as not moving for sure, and shot the last of his ammo. He's completely tapped of ammo now. That one did more hits of, I can't remember now, but either way, he's desensitized, so once his willpower is capped out, it starts doing all blood damage instead, hence why it's so much here, but much more than is required. He's a 7 miniature, so Red Hood has blown him off the field without an explosion. The teeth then moved 5 inches towards him, however, which placed him right there. They exploded and hit the unconscious Street Jester for 1 blood. So although he scored a 1-pointer on Catch a Bullet, the Bite the Dust does actually score for 2. Punchline activated next, however, on that Street Jester getting murdered by Red Hood. Actually, you're expendable, should have scored, so that's just a 1-pointer as well. So Joker came out on top of that one by and large. Anyway, Punchline moved and then chucked some more poison throwing knives at Aaron Cash, losing 1 for the bulletproof vest he's got by default, and only hitting with 1, but that's enough that he is now poisoned. Well, sensing perhaps that he's going to get dogpiled on, Aaron Cash activated next. He moved over here, his shotgun's got assault on it, so he was just -1 to his chances to hit, and he managed to roll a crit on the strength die, and he needed normally needing a 3, but got a 4 to attack Thug 6 here, so he did full damage possible with his gun despite moving first, and did 4 blood, 2 stun, and he is a 4 endurance miniature. So he is out of there. Obviously that helps Psychopaths, but what can you do? It takes away an activation. He then, as a special action, used Coordination because he shares the SWAT Elite keyword with QRT down here, and he made him put down a suspect marker, just like that. So I think thanks to various people dying and being knocked out and whatnot, Joker was actually the last one to go already for his crew, because it was just him, Punchline, and the 2 unconscious people now that Thug 6 has got... Yeah. So he went after Aaron Cash. He efforted 3 times, Aaron Cash efforted twice, and for the second turn in a row of being attacked by that insane clown, Aaron Cash, just like a boss, just rolled 4s, 5s and 6s for his defense dice. He has taken 2 hits to the face and just laughed it off. He did get 1 hit through, the strength die got through, so that is 1 blood, and he's only a 6/6 mini, so it is going to add up, and it made his poison one worse. But yeah, if he had not rolled so good defense rolls twice in a row, he could already be dead. So he's doing very well. So there's 3 activations left for the Batman crew. We're going to cover 2 of those real quick just because they were movement, and then we'll be back for the 3rd one. The GCPD detective actually just moved back over there, no audacity, so doing nothing else. And then down on this edge of the table, QRT 1, 2, whatever, he moved up 8 inches and has popped down another suspect marker. So the mounted JCPD officer moved slightly in order to remove the enemy suspect marker that had been there, in order to score the Detective Bullet card, wrong place, kid, which will be in focus any second now. Any second now, there we go. Reveal an enemy suspect marker 6 inches away from any of your models with the cop trait, excluding the one actually doing the reveal. So that's that. However, there is a suspect marker down for the Batman crew there, because so long it's been a gas played as a counter to that. So when any model reveals an enemy suspect marker, they have to place a friendly one down and suffer enervating 2. So they still got a +1 there, compared to the 2 on so long it's been a gas. And that takes us to the end of the 3rd round already. Well, at the end of the penultimate round, things have taken a little bit of a turn for Joker's crew, because the 2 unconscious guys are staying unconscious. Red Hood passed his poison roll, as did Aaron Cash. The Psychopaths card in play does not score. It was a draw prior to the suspect marker being forced to put down right at the end there, which would have made it 3 suspect markers placed in the turn against 1 knockout plus 1 kill, I think it was. So, not scored. And another Secure the Perimeter is coming out of the hand for the Batman crew in order to score that, and it's these 2 suspect markers being removed in order to count it. Dawn of the final day, top of Battle Round 4, which I'm sure will be quite quick. Joker's crew has managed to snatch first activation, although they are going to have some passes if they want to use it, because there's only 2 conscious on the table. Punchline and Joker himself, they both have Audacity. For the Batman crew, everyone has Audacity that's on the table except the JCPD detective all the way behind that red building there. And I think that covers it. No cards being played. Oh, actually no, there was a card. Sorry. It's not in hand. Or rather, not in table. There we go. Let's Dance came back out to play, because it didn't score the first time. So wait, didn't it score the first time? No, they didn't take any damage. That's right. So, not in focus, but Let's Dance is in play again. So, unless no one touches Joker or Punchline, that will score. And the round got started with Joker's continued attempts to murder Aaron Cash. Efforting 3 times, Aaron Cash efforted twice. This time he did do better. 3 hits got through for 3 blood. His poison should actually be up to poison 3. And that means in total he's got 5 blood on him, I think. So he has 1 hit left, which Punchline should be easily able to remove, although she's out of throwing knives now. So we'll see what happens. Well, Aaron Cash activated, walked over here and removed the suspect marker that was there. The enemy one, that is, obviously. Scoring a comb through everything. However, that was unfortunately immediately countered by, I think, the last instance of So Long It's Been a Gas. So basically broke even there and didn't get far enough away from Punchline. I think she's a 13-inch movement? 12 inches, yeah, she's going to catch him. So of course Punchline hunted down Cash, and he actually was a boss with his defense rolls again, but the strength I got through, which was enough, that he gets taken out in the final hour, and Seasoning the Mix scores because he was made a casualty while he was poisoned, so hopefully that's in focus. He has given up 2 victory points to Joker's crew. Now that's Joker's crew's done for the game. So the Mounted Cop, the JCPD Detective, Red Hood and QRT-1 all get to do stuff. Now we're just going to quickly look at what they can do. Yes, they could pointlessly kill something, but in terms of scoring cards, we're just going to take a quick look at that. So in terms of last minute gambits, Red Hood activates and puts down a suspect marker that becomes a snitch. That's really it. QRT-1 just needs to put down a suspect marker where he's sitting. So does the JCPD Detective, that's for phase 4. And the Mounted Cop doesn't need to do anything. So with that, we'll go into the cleanup just now, I guess, because there is only 2 things to cover. Let's Dance does not score, nobody touched Joker or Punchline. And those 2 suspect markers I mentioned getting put down would score the 3rd and final Secure the Perimeter. So with that, we can go to the final scores and see how this all wrapped up. So no matter which way these points end up going, Aaron Cash is still definitely MVP. He did so consistently well with his defense rolls, failing only at the last second. Either way, both sides scored a load of cards. Dirty Job cards in the Batman deck are worth 2, thanks to Red Hood, and we'll see what they've got first. That's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Well, that's easy to remember. They got 30 on the dot. It would have been 27 without the bonus from, or 28 without the bonus from the Dirty Job card, so we'll see if that matters as we go to Joker's deck here. 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So it did not make a difference, the extra points on the Dirty Job card. The Batman crew, they didn't have Batman in it, and despite losing Peacemaker much earlier than I expected, did really well. And the 2 points in question from Aaron Cash's activation didn't matter either. New Red Hood is really good. He didn't even get to do his full bag of tricks every single turn, making use of that handyman. But he is very powerful. He is a psychic level character. So you know, he's got 7 health, 7 willpower, 4 attack, 4 defense. So hard, like tough leaders would be able to take him out. But in terms of dealing with the rank and file, which is I think what he's meant for murdering clowns and things like that, he's really good at it. And for a killy focused list, just bringing him along, he doesn't need to be by himself. Like, he is a sidekick. You could bring a cheap leader or Batman. It does give you that little bit of extra bonus if you decide to take the Dirty Job cards. Anyway, that is going to do it for this time. I sincerely hope you enjoyed watching. Please do remember to show your support. And if you would like to go above and beyond and support what we do here on the channel, please consider becoming a channel member or pressing the thanks button. It's all reinvested in the channel and helps keep this possible. Enjoy the rest of your day, and ta for now.